Hello, my name's Gary Smith. The purpose of this video is in two parts. The first part is to go through the new ABR website and discuss what's changed and obviously a new look and feel to the site, but there's a number of detail things that are good to know. And then the second part will be to show you what, as a new volunteer or someone who just signs up and has just applied and is just for the first time logged into the internal site, what a volunteer can see and do on the internal site currently. So basically two parts. The new site obviously looks a lot different, and we have these great images. Three of the four images come right straight off the 2019 calendar, and they each have links that take you to here to look for Brittany's and or to donate money and that sort of thing. But then following down, there are quite a number of other things. First of all, this particular button will be here for a little while. It's where you will want to go once the site's live and your particular accounts, all 1,890 some odd volunteers have been moved over and are on the live site. You'll want to go here first to get a password so that you can sign into the account. But we'll skip that for now. It's here when it's time for you to, when you want to first sign in, you'll want to go here, watch a very short video on how to do that. Make sure you know how to do get a new password. In any event, there's things like here's listings for the different featured dogs, success stories. You click these and it'll go off, and if you click it here, it'll go off and tell you about Rusty specifically. If you click here, it will go off and show you all the different featured dogs, or in this case, success stories, that sort of thing. Here's the great map from before. Click a section here, just like before, and it will show you all the dogs within a particular region. It's not by state, but it's in a particular region. And you can find a Brittany. And I happen to be someone who's currently looking for a second Brittany, and to keep my first Brittany company and have fun with. So I will use this. It's also available up here in the other links. We have to replace, this is one thing that has to be done before it goes live, and put in some quotations here, testimonial quotations by different Brit owners. This is how you go here and you start down the path of learning how the adoption process works. Here's how you can help, be it volunteering or donating money, that kind of thing. And here's more detail and a lot more stories on the international side of the Brittany operation. And then at the bottom of the page, you can sign up for the ABR newsletter if you haven't already done so. It's not a disclaimer, but it's here where you agree right here with Constant Contact to have your name on the list. And there's some other links. These are duplicate links. They're found up here. In fact, everything that you could do in the site is always found up here on every single page of the site. But we put some duplicate sites down here, or duplicate links down here, I should say. But again, everything that you would want to do in the site on the public side can be done through these different links here, and dropping down and going through them, as we will in a second. And anytime you want to go back to the home page, you simply click on the logo and you go right on back. So now, just stepping through this, a lot of this, for example, the mission statement, Brittany Express, the newsletter pages where you can see the past newsletters that have come out, and you can go back and kind of go through time and read old newsletters. A lot of these things are simply copied over from the previous site and will look awful familiar. The Brittany, there's a number of different things. Again, these are simply copied over. In this, particularly in these links, they're copied over. The rescue and adoption process, again, the same. The adoption application can be found here, although you'll see that there's a little more convenient way to get it later on. This owner surrender application. The gallery of adopted dogs is different. Yeah, we'll just go there for now. And I'm going to switch back here. I've got a tab here with the old gallery on the old site is really clever, and I happen to like this layout. In fact, here's my current dog right here. He's called Captain here, but he's now called Cooper. And you select the time frame that you want to see the dogs are adopted. I happen to like this layout; it's kind of fun, but to my knowledge, you can't get extra. I can't go read extra information about my dog and how I found them down in Utah, actually. So it's what we've done is on the new page, you simply select. Again, that was I forgot what that was. May, let's say. Oh no, that was March of 17. And you go to it. We've tried in everything we did, or have done rather, on this site is to make use of similar layouts. For example, the gallery of dogs is simply presented now in the format that you're going to see for all the dogs pages. There's slight variations, but they're very minor. And the purpose for that is it was easy to describe to a programmer to then create and develop a system, which costs a little less than if we made every single thing different. It's also easier to maintain over time. And in this particular case, you can go down, you're going to see the original ad, if you will, for your dog, the information for whatever particular dog you have in mind. So it's a lot more information. I think it's more fun because you can take a look and you can see how the dog was shown way back when. You can go back 10 years or whatever it is. And in each case, rather than having a lot of different words, there used to be a lot of words down here that said if you want to go to get an adoption application, there are links for them. Now it's kind of inappropriate because these dogs have already been adopted, but you'll see on every single one of the dogs pages the option to get the application or to volunteer to help ABR or to donate some money. So we're trying to make it easy to do these three things throughout the site. So you'll see that it's a little meaningless here because the dog's already been adopted, but again, we're using a standard form to reduce costs and to make it a more easily supported by the programmers and staff for many years. Then that's the gallery. The blog is something new. Blogs are very important, and they're important in a lot of different ways, but they're now this right now is set up. It looks, oh, I'm sorry, they haven't added the pictures yet into this, but you can go through this and you'll see quite a few there's going to be an awful lot of stories. These are all international stories here about different dogs that are brought up, and you can see the different words. The images haven't been added in; they will be shortly. But it is the blog structure that also gives you the international stories, the success stories, and featured dogs. When you get to the available dogs, everything's they're the same. The senior dogs now is any dog in any of these regions that has a senior, is of a senior age, will also be shown here. But in any event, we'll just drop down here and pick the Midwest, I guess. Again, some of this data all of it is effectively test data, so you may see some goofy things where people have, I don't know. I don't see if there's anything in here where somebody's typed in, just made up a dog and typed it in. But in any event, well, I guess not here. But let's, again, these are available dogs. And if somebody likes Bruno and wants to go and adopt him, all you got to do is click the adoption form, and here you come. Here you go. It's going to get, there's the application. Fill it out. This one's going to look familiar because it's the same application as before. And off you go. I'll come back to that same page, and you can, if you get excited and you don't necessarily want interested in Bruno, but you want to volunteer, you can go right there and fill out the volunteer form, or you can go give us some money, that sort of thing. The age up here is different than before, or it may be, I don't know. There were different ways in the past where the age was calculated or input. There's only one way that it goes in now. If you know the exact birth date of a particular dog, then you can just simply type it in. If you don't know the age, you have to estimate something. If you think it's 2 years old, then you're going to put in 2017 and today's date, let's say. But then when it's put in, you you click an option saying it's estimated. If you know the actual date, you click an option that says actual. So all the dogs that are in there right now are going to be probably estimated, I assume, because or I don't know exactly how it'll come out initially. But you'll know whether it's an exact date or whether it's just simply a date of birth that was estimated by someone. And then you have the other options here that are, or we show chip information here as well. In the public side of things, there's a difference. Well, first of all, the stories are the same, layout and the same, up to 6 different photos, all that's the same. But rather than putting in the email and the phone number of the contacts for Bruno in this case, we put in a button here, brings up a form, and you just type in your name, give them your email, and type in there, I really think Bruno looks good, tell me some more about him, or do you have some other pictures, whatever your message happens to be. And then we will send it along to the person who's the contact for Bruno. But that keeps that contact's email and phone number away from scammers, if you will, who want to take that off our site and start sending all kinds of spam and that sort of thing. So this is basically sort of a security measure. And you'll see this also on, if you're looking on a cell phone, you'll see the same sort of thing, a little button. So that's a security thing we've added in. Then that's pretty much it. The rest, all the pages work the same here. If you then want to volunteer or donate or go shopping, these 3 links all go to the same page, but go to different parts of that same page. And I'll show you how this works. This goes to, and what you saw flash away there for a second is this picture in here. And you can go this, if you want to log in, this is just another way to log in. But it goes right down to the volunteer section, talks about different ways to volunteer, takes you to either contact your state coordinator, get the volunteer application, that sort of thing. But you're on the same page as to where to donate money and where to go shopping. So the idea is that, they come here maybe to learn about volunteering, but what the heck, maybe they just got their tax refund and they want to go shopping, or they want to give us a little boost here with the donation. In any event, that's the thinking behind this. What's also exciting in this particular page is this picture is of my dog. That's my dog going through the woods with me in Port Orchard, Washington. His name's Cooper. We don't know how, Cooper's date of birth is really an estimated date. We don't know how old he is, but he's probably 5 or 6. Very good dog. In any event, I'll also go through the donation page. We spent a lot of time trying to simplify this. It just talks about the different funds. We tried to emphasize in all of this page the funds that were most successful and most focused on, and we want focused on, and make it easier for people to donate there, because we have so many funds, it can get a little busy and a little difficult. There's also a section over here for estate planning, which is a big deal. And when someone plans their will and for their estate, we encourage them to plan for their pet as well, and who takes care of them. And if they want to have them taken care of by ABR, that's an important thing to do. And also, if they want to put in their will a certain percentage or a certain dollar amount to benefit ABR, they can do that as well. And this talks about it and gives them examples and so forth. You can step through these yourself. The donation part is different than before. And we'll go there and show you this. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make this straightforward. If you're going to make your donation in memory or in honor of a person or a dog, if you press yes, excuse me, you'll want to put in some extra information, name of the person or the dog, pardon me, and then you can do this and tell it, some information about the dog, and then you can proceed forward. You can also, at this stage, put in 2 photos. We haven't yet built the page to show all these things, but we put in here the ability for people to select files, select images of a dog and put in 2 of them as part of the remembrance. And then they go down here further to to donate the money and the amount and so forth. Now, if they're not making it in memory or in honor of a dog or a person, or even if they are, they can still target their, they can select a target for their donation. And again, these little circles here are for extra information. The International Fund, Brittany, Buddy, and Jake funds are the most popular, and they also are well-directed funds that tend to be busiest. And so you can put in, I want to, donate this just effectively to younger Brits, and then you put your name in and address, and this is kind of credit card information, donation amount, and you can put in a custom amount, and then you either pay by PayPal or credit card or mail a check. And we maintain all this information just to keep track of how much money comes into each fund. But there are other funds that you've seen in the past, and so if someone has a specific other fund, they can simply click this, and then the other funds come up here, and you can just select that, in which case the money will then go to that fund. Or you can name a specific dog that's within the system or a specific state to send to earmark or target the money for. Should you have any questions about the ABR funds, there's information here that will explain the different funds. And this is a lot like the pages you would see in the previous website. It's basically the same wording. But in any event, all of these things that were previously covered in a variety of different locations and a pretty busy, as it grew over time, got kind of difficult to focus. This effort here is to make it more streamlined, if you will, to get down to, you put in your name and address and so forth, and you get down to putting in an amount that you want to donate. You can put in, $50 or whatever the amount is, and then you can submit it. You're going to mail a check. It says send the check here and submit, and off you go. So then that's the donation part. That, again, back to that one giant page where we had volunteer, donate, and shop. Here's the shopping part. There were so many affiliates and such, we just decided to cut it back to two things that really seem to be working in terms of this section of the site. And that is ABR store. The Cafe Press store wasn't busy. So we're going to focus on this. It'll be built into the site shortly in a little more, in a much better way shortly, next few months. And then also the Amazon thing. I've signed up for this. It's so easy just to sign up for this Amazon Smile, and this will take you to Amazon to where you sign up for it. There's no cost to you, and every time you go on Amazon, probably 1 out of 4 or 5 things that I buy, a little banner comes up and says, do you want to donate this to your ABR? And you just click it, and it doesn't change the cost, but a very small portion, but it adds up. It does in fact go to ABR. So this is the other thing that we think can be built up quite well. And then finally, you've got different contacts. This is in general contacts, and then you also have all the state coordinators, which is a major part of what people are going to look for here. And so here you go, you can find whoever you're after, the locations for that. So this really concludes the discussion of the public site that's available to everyone. Now I'm going to step into the internal site, and right here, the internal site comes off here. There's a menu or a series of navigation points that slide out of the right side. You do that by simply clicking this little plus. And here you'll see that these are the options available to someone, and in this case me, I'm signed in as a volunteer, not as a page manager or as a board member, but as a volunteer. And the options that are available. Now this option is actually the video that we're recording right now. The second option is their account, which is all the personal information that ABR has on any given volunteer. So you'd want to go to this to make sure your email and your address are up to date, and then submit it. And when you do that, someone if you change your email, for example, it automatically goes off to folks that update Constant Contact and some other lists for ABR. So you don't have to worry about telling 5 people that your email just changed. This is really the starting point for most things for most people on the internal site. You have the option to reset your password and obviously to log out. But we'll go here to the account just so you can see it. This would be good to do the first time you sign in. It'd be helpful. And here all you do is go down, and now this is a made up name, first name, VOL for volunteer, and then test person is the last name. So, but in any event, there's not much in here, but you'll want to go through your information, make sure the jobs that you volunteered for, are correct, or change them, or whatever you need to do. Make sure your address is correct, phone number, and all that sort of thing. If you're fostering dogs, then the fostering information might need updating, I suppose. And then you simply update your profile. It's as simple as that. And this is also very similar to the form that's used when somebody signs in initially to be a volunteer for ABR. The password reset is, password reset's real simple. And comes up, and here you go. All you do is put in your username or your email and convince them you're not a robot, and then reset, and you'll get an email, and you respond to that email to reset your password, and you're done. It's real simple, just like any other site these days. The main place to go to is the ABR internal home page, which is where you get into taking a look at the dogs and so forth. Now, I'm signed in as a volunteer. I don't have the option to add in a dog or edit the information on a dog. So these are options like that. This actually says submit a dog, even though you don't have you'll see that it doesn't work. This particular link for a volunteer doesn't work. But for example, if we want to view a dog let's view a dog that's in the pending area. You click that. Now, if you click the other, you'll get some of the other areas or stations, if you will, for where dogs might be listed. But if you just want to view a dog that's in the pending, not seen by the public, but the pending area, let's say it's in, let's say the northeast, and you just tell it to continue, and you will get the northeast pending dogs that have not been posted and sorted by state, like you always see. But you can go in and see this. You'll see, like I mentioned before, the age of the dog is calculated. This is calculated by the computer. This is calculated from the date of birth, and the date of birth could be the actual date of birth, or it could be that the person who submitted it estimated it. You'll see the word estimated. If we're not real sure, my particular dog, we have no clue as to how old he is other than to guess. So for Cooper, it would say estimated. It might say 5 years ago because he's probably 5-6 years old. Then all the other listings you normally see, you have additional information here in terms of where the dog is, the chip, and so forth. Here, as opposed to outside, here in this case, we're behind a security wall, if you will. So it's okay to have the information real handy for the people who are fostering or the contact for this particular dog named Cheddar. It's a more secure area, so scammers can't get at this. Where in the public pages we have the contact button, just a button that sends an email. So their information can't be stolen. So this is a security thing. That's why you see it a little different than before. Any person coming in here, they'll see up to 3 buttons here, depending on their different roles in the internal site. A base volunteer has the ability to look here and see the history. Now, there's not a lot of history on this dog. He was just entered here on the 4th of January of 18. But this is the history of what's happened to this dog when he was entered. And any dog that's entered in the system must go into the pending status, and then they can become public, then they become adopted, and those steps. but also every single edit to the dog. So if someone jumps in and edits something, you'll see it edited by in the action, added image, added content, whatever it happens to be, and the person who did it. Now, this is a dog that's been in there a while, and these fields being filled out, weren't filled out before, but on dogs from this point forward, they will be filled out. And so, you'll have all the information here, but you can go through and, I don't know that I'll see much here, but let's see Charlie here. No, these are dogs that have not been working under the new system. In any event, if I want to go back, well, in any event, you see the history. I'll show you in a second, a different way. But you can see all the different dogs that are in process, or really in process. They haven't been shown to the public. They're not ready for adoption yet. But maybe you can take a look and say, Leah, I think Leah looks pretty great, and Leah's in wherever Leah is, Kentucky. I think I'll call Rebecca and just see what the deal is. Maybe Leah's for me. And if there's anything in particular in history, you'll see that. But in a pending area, there's not likely to be much in the way of history. So that's the way that works. Let's jump back to the internal homepage. Now, as I mentioned, a volunteer. This looks like you're about to add a dog to the system as a volunteer, but in fact, it is restricted. They don't have the option. A new volunteer doesn't have the option to do that. There's a volunteer editor, and there's page managers and others that can affect the dog and edit, change things. Photo managers. And one thing that's kind of new that we just added is a description of those different roles. If you want to look here, you'll see a lot of words that describe the different roles. Now, this is probably likely to expand in other ways, but right now it's just the roles in terms of the internal system. For example, a volunteer. This is the default role of anyone that joins up with ABR. It just automatically goes in as a volunteer. You may become a page manager someday, in which case you have different responsibilities, can do different things. But it's the default role for somebody entering ABR. You can view all the dogs in all the different statuses or stations, if you will, pending, public, adopted, Rainbow Bridge, I guess. You can see all the dogs in all the areas, and you can see the history, which is all kind of interesting, especially for someone like me who's looking for a second dog. The volunteer editor assists the page manager in input and editing the dog's records, and you can read about that. Page managers are responsible for the dog's pages, the individual information for their particular region, and they can do certain things, but they're the only ones that can take and can approve and therefore publish a dog going from the pending status to the public status, or from the public status to adopted. Only a page manager can approve, and after reviewing and approving and seeing that it's correct, a dog to move from one station to another. Volunteer editors can make changes. Down here, photo editors can make the photo changes to help get the information together quickly. And this is set up to be faster than the current, or the previous system, I should say. But it's still the page manager that decides if it's time to move from one station to another. State coordinator's responsibility for the activity in the state. They can do various things. They also work with the volunteer coordinator to review new volunteers' applications. Photo editors edit the images. Although actually, these folks here, the volunteer editor and page manager, can put photos in the interest of getting it put in quicker. We left it so that they can add some photos too if they just want to get an image up there quickly and a month ahead of time versus when it goes public. But ultimately, the photo editor is going to make changes to have a really fine image up there. The blog coordinator takes care of all the stories, the international feature stories, success stories, that sort of thing. Volunteer coordinator is Diane Kindler, and she's going to be responsible for receiving and reviewing, approving all volunteer applications. And she approves all the applications. They're all done online now. There's no paper involved other than the contracts later on for that she also manages. Board members just oversee everything, as you can imagine. They have a certain access. And the website administrator is the person, now it's going to be Ryan. He's going to be responsible for all the workings of the website and changes that may be needed. He'll discuss that and work on getting those changes done as necessary. So these are all the different roles that are currently involved. This could end up being, it could end up putting in things like vice president or secretary and different other roles within ABR. But right now, as it's set up, it's the internal systems administrative roles. But this way you get a chance to see who does what, or what role does what, if you will. And then you're back to the other page. There's volunteer, for example, when you first sign in and you get your application gets approved, but then you need to fill out a contract for yourself or for minor children. You need to fill out that contract, and this is where you find it. But when someone signs into ABR, they get an automated letter saying, thanks for your application. Later on, thanks for your application has been approved. Please go over here and get these forms and download them so you can sign them and return them back to Diane Kindler so that you can then get access into this site. But this is how you do it in their site. It's all just available right there. And that's basically it. We hope you see that we've done our best to try to bring it up to date, give it a different look, a little more up to date. One interesting thing about these sites, they now are what's called responsive. And so what you see here is what's good for a desktop computer. But if you look on your phone, some of these things will be rearranged because it's responsive to the device that's asked to see the web page, and so it will rearrange things, and so you'll see that on your phone. It's the same information and it works the same. It's just sometimes rearranged a little bit in a little better way to fit on a small phone. So I hope this is helpful, and enjoy. Thanks.